I have an important message for a select few. That's not all of you. This is for a select few of you guys that are listening or watching this. It's for trade business owners that have been around for a while. They understand the frustrations of marketing and being in control or not being in control. Guys, it's 2021 and many of you are marketing yourselves like it's the year 2000. Off the back of a global pandemic, we've seen huge shifts in the market with people turning to service providers they know, like, and trust. There's never been a better time to establish the tools and frameworks in your business to take advantage of these things. These things that will serve you not only now, but serve the business ongoing. Over at Tradies Web Guys, we've recently launched the Elevation Program. It equips businesses with the tools and the programs required to successfully market themselves. It gives you tools to re-engage with your past and present clients whilst nurturing potential clients. It creates assets in your company's name with no proprietary licenses. You own these things 100%. It gives your business a huge head start on the search engines with advanced SEO, and it collates all of the programs and all the services you need into one neat little bundle, including things like web development, website management, email marketing, SEO, Google Ads, loads of different softwares, strategy, support, and a bunch of other things. After going through this program, you'll have all the tools you need to market your business ongoing. You'll have a huge head start in your marketing, and you'll also have a CRM so you can continue to build your database whilst engaging your current customers and re-engaging those customers that you've essentially forgotten about. Marketing tools that you need, and they'll all be in your control. You don't owe anyone anything. You'll be able to dial it up and down essentially as you see fit. So why is this an important time to talk about this? Guys, it's important to know a lot about a little and a little about a lot. Meaning, you want to be in control. You want to know enough to be dangerous. I'm not trying to give you more work here. Essentially, we'll set everything up for you, teach you the basics, and then it's all yours. It's complete transparency. You'll never grow a business past a certain point without marketing. Word of mouth will only ever get you so far. We've spoken about it on the podcast a load of times. At some stage, you need to invest in these things. This is the simplest and most affordable way to do it. For more information, head across to tradieswebguys.com.au/elevation, fill in the form, and let's make 2021 the year that you took control. Today's podcast has been proudly brought to you by Tradies Web Guys. Tradies Web Guys work with tradespeople only on their websites and marketing solutions to help them stand out from their competition. Everything from web design through to SEO, search engine marketing, content creation, you name it, guys. It is a customized solution for trade-based organizations, and it's fantastic. Head across to tradieswebguys.com.au/apply, fill in the form, and let's have a conversation.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Shawn Feurer, welcome back to the Site Shed podcast.
Thank you, Matt. Enjoyed my two previous visits here, so I'm excited for this third one. I hope our listeners are excited because this is going to be a good one.
Because this one's about getting excited, right?
It is about getting excited, yes.
So for you guys that are just tuning in, this is the third and final episode of the Confessions of a Reformed Business Coach series that we're conducting here. Shawn is from ShawnFeurer.com. That's ShawnFeurer. It's FEURER.com. He's a mindset consultant located over in Utah. And the first episode we did was called Know Better, where we went through, basically highlighted some of the paradigms that are holding us back in achieving better results. And the last episode, it was called Mind Blown, where we spoke a little bit about the relationship between our conscious and subconscious mind and how some of the limiting beliefs that we tend to fabricate along the way. And in this episode, we're talking about how to get excited and how to get things done a better way. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
I'm excited. Cool. So again, I suppose this is relevant to anyone that has a mind, which is, I've actually polled this. That's 50% of our audience, so that's good.
Yes, I'm glad half of us are there. With our first two episodes, we kind of know even if we have a mind. We're only using a certain portion of it consciously at any given point. So
Right.
there's a lot of truth to your joke there. We're really not always there.
No, it's been good though. I think, as I said, I think it was in the first episode, I've never really done a focused episode or a focused series on mindset related things. And although a lot of this stuff we might have read in books and we might have, seen around the places over the years, there's probably very few people that have actually specifically implemented a lot of these things. And some of these frameworks you went through, like even in the last, in that last episode when you were running through the, Bob Proctor's stickman idea and that kind of thing, like I think it does, like you say, it's kind of, when you're a builder, a plumber, electrician or whatever, sometimes this kind of stuff is so far from anything you could see as being helpful until you get to a certain point and you're like, what the heck's holding me back? Why can't I get past this 1 million, 3 million, whatever it is? And so eventually, perhaps not now, but eventually you guys will come around to this concept, I'm sure. And you'll be in a situation where, like myself at the moment, where this is important stuff because I know that there's things that, in order to get my business beyond that point, I need to make some conscious shifts and subconscious shifts.
Yeah. Well, and for me, when I got in consulting, I had one of my early on mentors tell me, Shawn, don't worry about the money. In consulting, if you just serve your clients, if you just help them get better results, you're always going to make plenty of money. And I was getting frustrated because I was making money, but I wasn't getting the results. And it's because my clients were getting on weekly call after weekly call and they were stuck. And like you said, as contractors, we're programmed to work harder. We are. And when we spent the last 2 episodes really identifying where that comes from, kind of how we can shift it, how we can be more aware of it. And as I've shared that with my clients, it's amazing to see the breakthroughs they have. And again, I'll hit on it every time you ever let me speak. It's not just about money, right? Even Think and Grow Rich, the book, it's not all about money. It's like, I got to have balance. I call it the strong triangle of finances, health and wellness, and relationships. I don't want to die sick and lonely and lots of money in the bank. I don't want to have health and be broke and not be able to do the fun things I want to do in my life. I want all three. And I think we all deserve all three.
And I think as well, anyone that's been around long enough now knows that money is the result of actions. It's not, money comes as a result of doing things the right way, consistently or whatever. It's something that's happened, so people that are too caught up with like money per se, typically don't progress past that because it's not really a thing,
Yeah. Well, and again, I might lose a little bit of our audience because we talk about, some of these concepts that aren't practical. They're not, blood, sweat, and tears, right? But the law of attraction, the laws of the universe, right? I mean, these are literal things. Bob Proctor is my mentor that teaches a lot of this, but the law of gravity holds us in place right now, right? The law of attraction is based on a secondary law of the law of vibration, right? And that's, whatever we're vibrating, whatever frequency we're at, we're going to either push things away from us or we're going to pull them towards us. And I want to introduce this because we're going to use some of the same principles that we're talking about in the first 2 episodes on the subconscious mind to attract better things into our life.
I think as well, I think people have preconceptions about the law of attraction and I think it's been skewed a lot over, through, because people because it does have that, that reputation of just being like rainbows and unicorns. But that's not actually what it's about, like fundamentally. I think it'd be good to sort of address that.
Yeah, no. Well, and it's funny because Bob Proctor, and some of you may have seen or read the book, The Secret. It came out in about 2006. It was all about the law of attraction. Bob was on it, but he actually said it gave some misconceptions because it was this idea that you just think about it and it's going to happen. Yeah. That's not true. That's not true. But taking everything we've learned on the mindset stuff and really thinking about this from a law, like the law of gravity. I mean, there's the law of polarity, right?
Sure.
Law of polarity says there's no inside this room without outside the room. There's no scarcity without abundance. And the law of attraction plays just the same. I mean, another one, I'll throw out another law, the law of compensation, right? When I plant seeds and I work every day, I'm going to get benefit. I'm going to reap what I put out there. And to me, the law of attraction and vibration play right into it. And when this episode, I'm excited about it because we're going to use everything we've been talking about in the last 2 on mindset to understand it. But if I want to attract better things in my life, I have to become those things. I have to raise my vibration. I have to raise my frequency.
Sure.
And so as a human being, how do I get excited? I mean, think about that. I'm not to put you on the spot because we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but what gets you excited? What gets you moving, right?
I mean, for me personally, I think for me to get that raise that frequency and to get things like that all comes for me when I'm strategizing something. And so when I'm looking at bigger picture goal setting or whatever, because then I know I know that I can achieve things that I've reverse engineered, especially within business, but then that replicates into, personal life or more time with the family or surfing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I know now over the years of doing this repeatedly that it works. And so I get excited when I sit down and have these sessions because I know what I can achieve. Right. So that's my out take on it. But that's what gets me excited. But what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, and it's interesting, it doesn't matter who I talk to, there's one common term that comes up is most of us as humans want more of something, right?
Ironically, I want less. I want to be working less.
But there's a lot of polarity coming in. You want to work less because you want more free time.
Right.
It is. No, it's what it is. We want more time. We want more money. I mean, once we have shelter, we want better shelter. Once we have decent food, we want better food. And so we always want more. So that's how we're programmed. So if we want to get better results, let's take advantage of that. Let's really take advantage of that and the understanding of our conscious and subconscious mind and say, okay, if I want more, let's go for it. Bob has this concept that I teach. It's called ABC goals. Most of us set A and B goals. An A goal is something that I've pretty much already accomplished. It's going to take hardly any effort. And that's not really a goal. And it's funny because everyone will say set practical goals, set achievable goals. I'm going to say BS because there's no growth in that. Right. So a B goal is something I've never done, but I can see the pathway. I know how to do it. If I just work, like we talked last episode, if I just work 5 more hours a week, I can make that money. Or if I just hire one more person. Again, that's not going to create any growth in you. That's not going to raise your vibration and create a different level of you. And so the idea of this one is permission to dream. Like get a C goal. A C goal is this worthy ideal. Earl Nightingale used to talk about it. A worthy ideal. Bob talks about it. Think and Grow Rich talks about it. Henry Ford had that saying, whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
Come up with that idea, whatever it is. I mean, if money excites you, think about making your annual, your monthly, right? And I know that's hard to believe, right? But if you hold the vision of that and you create that as your new worthy goal, and then you do some of the things we talked in the past 2 episodes where you're trying to eliminate the self-limiting beliefs that are popping up, you're going to raise your vibration, first of all. If I get up let's say I make 80,000 a year and I want to make 80,000 a month. If I get up every morning and I start my day with a ritual that says, I'm so happy and grateful now that I make $83,333.33 every single month. It feels amazing. I'm helping hundreds of homeowners have whatever it is. If I say that every day, I just got excited saying it to you, right? I just got excited. My subconscious gets excited. And if I say it over and over again, I'm raising my vibration. So now as I go out into the day, guess what? I'm having a different effect on every person I come into contact. And because I have that different effect, it becomes easier. That's where we have to get out of our way and say, I don't have to always know the how. I don't have to do all the heavy lifting. I just have to decide I want it. And if I decide I want it, the work is going to become easier.
Sure. And so let's talk about the work side of that, because obviously coming up with that idea, as you said, that's the foundation. Nothing happens without that. So then how does the work side of it come in? Because obviously, like you say, you can't just think about something and it magically happens. You've got to do something, right? And that will involve work, and it will involve strategy, and it will involve doing things a different way, so on and so forth.
Yes. And when if you do this right and you set a big enough goal, you're not going to know how.
Sure.
You're not going to be. And so, and this, I'm going to pull out a Mike Tyson quote. Mike Tyson
said, "My back is broke. It's spinal." No, is it not that one? I
got punched in the face. I got punched in the face and ribs.
Yeah.
No, it's everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with our programming, Matt, is we write down that big goal and then we immediately go, and this goes back to the stickman figure. We immediately go to the action plan, the strategy, and that is going to have to happen. But my caution is don't go to that before you believe it's possible for you. Because if you go to that before you believe it's possible and you haven't done enough mindset work on it, you're going to kick yourself out of it. It's like deciding I want to get a better body and then going to the gym and just focus on lifting weights 5 days a week. I'm going to say, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. I forgot what I even wanted to look like. This just sucks. Right? And so for me, it is a different approach. It's not a logical, practical approach. It's more of, hey, let's hold that vision. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and hold this vision. And as I start to believe it, I actually naturally start to take different actions. Yeah. And yes, you're going to write down strategy, but that step, we all take that step too soon. We really do. would get in our way.
Tell me if this is an example, right? So like within my organization, we're big on like system creation at the moment. The team's growing, everything's growing. So we're documenting things, obviously, as new team members come in, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Now, I've recently had a bit of an issue with the place that we are managing our SOPs and our systems and that kind of thing. And I've realized, even subconsciously, that something needs to change there. And so I've been manifesting this, like I've strategized it, all these kind of things, what we can do here. I've come up with ideas, I've read books on it, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And then, last couple of weeks in the meeting, both two of my developers sent me the link to this thing. And they're like, hey, we've noticed there's been a bit of an issue lately with the SOP framework. Have you looked at these programs? And I was like, holy shit.
It just came, right?
I just attracted that. I mean, I don't know if that was because there was an obvious problem and it was obvious to everyone except me being the biggest idiot in the company. But I found that really funny.
No, it is. Well, that's one of those things. And did it feel a little bit like a coincidence to you? It did, didn't it? Like that's a weird.
And then I went down this path of, hang on a minute, if this is obvious to them, then it's justified. So
no, but literally, and going back to the law of attraction, this is where, and people say that this is where it works. I mean, and the more you get belief in it and start using it, and I don't have to figure out all the how. I start thinking about it every day. I mean, I talked in episode 2 about my paradigm of doing everything myself. When I decided to hire somebody, right? Yeah, I need to place an ad. I know all the hows that I have to do, but I, in my mind, created what does this person look like? And I do a lot of work with behavioral profiles, and so I knew, as far as detail orientation and some of those things, what I wanted, I started visualizing that person. This is the person I'm going to attract. This is the person I'm going to attract. And literally one day, man, I'm just working along and this name pops into my head, and it's a friend of mine that I had done a profile on a couple of years ago. I pulled it up. She's the exact profile I'm looking for. I sent her a message, said, hey, you have time to talk on Friday? Sure. Set up. P.S. How's work going? Messages back, not that well. I'm looking for something new. Oh. Again, it's just like, wow, what? It happens all the time. Yeah. It happens all the time. So literally, going back to what you said, I'm the mindset guy. There's lots of operating systems. I can tell you tons of business planning systems, all this other stuff. Don't go there until you get the belief.
Sure.
And really do some of this mindset. I mean, like I said, anybody I bring on, I won't start with process until I've done the mindset, because we got to get the self-limiting beliefs identified and working on them. And we got to get a worthy ideal, something that's going to excite you. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I deal with that their number one thing is not enough time. And the second I get them excited about something, they usually create at least 2 hours a day because they start sleeping less because they're excited again. instead of dreading getting their ass out of bed, they're excited to get out of bed.
I think that's where that book and the Secret got misconstrued. Like it was people they didn't really put the 2 and 2 together, probably justifyingly as well, if you're not familiar with that kind of thing. But I think that's where people sort of got a bit of a bad rap because they were like, oh, that's ridiculous. And the way they were understanding it is ridiculous. They were missing the most critical part of it.
Yeah. The critical part of it, they don't talk anything about it. They talk about the law of attraction a lot. They don't say anything about the law of vibration. And the law of vibration, I can't sit on my couch depressed and bummed out and think about good things and attract good things. I got to work on the bummed down depression. And for me, the best way to do that is get excited. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This episode is about getting excited. Like write down, and it's interesting, man. Because as I work with people on this, we get so programmed to not want, to not reach, that some people have problems even coming up with what they want. Yeah. When I say make a dream list, their subconscious programming cuts them off before they even get a dream list out of there. And so it's like at this moment, you got to forget all the programming. You got to say, you know what do I really want? If I was starting fresh today and I had all the time in the world and I actually had all the money in the world, what would I want to do? Where would I want to live? What lifestyle would I want? Who would I want to attract into my life? What would I want to be doing? And just start creating that, because it's an inside out job. The more I act like that as if every day, and like you said, I think you said it for me, it's law. Once you hold it there long enough, it's going to come into fruition.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, I would, it's one of those things. There's probably a handful of people listening to this or watching this right now that are actually going to go away and do this. And I would love to put some perspective on that. I'd love to see what, I mean, you hear all this, all these stats and 90% of, goals and dreams that are written down come true and all this kind of thing, whatever. Like, I'd love to actually hear from some of the listeners and viewers out there that have had experience with this kind of thing and that have actually done it within their businesses or within their personal lives or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Because I know certainly that's like nothing of any significance has ever really happened for me unless I put a plan and a strategy in place to get to it. And then and whether you call that law of attraction, I don't know. Like, sure, law of attraction.
No, you're because you're creating it when you write. No, and that's, I guess, the first step is write it down. I didn't make that clear. Write it down. Like, once we get this down, write down what you want. That's the first step, right? And then from there, yes, you're going to formulate your plan. What are 6 action steps you're going to take? I'm just, because I've seen it happen too often.
Yeah.
Where people get beat up by life getting in the way. Right?
Sure.
They don't have enough belief in the vision,
or they're distracted by things too easily. Like the dream isn't big enough for them. It's like, well, I know I'm meant to be doing this tonight, going to the gym, but I've also been invited to the pub with my mates.
I'd rather do that. Yeah. No. Well, and this actually, maybe this will help, because I'm not disagreeing with you, because I think process and strategy, and like I said, I'm a reformed business coach. I know all that stuff works. I know how to use and implement a lot of it. But successful people tend to focus on successive results, not the process, because sometimes the process is messy. And you just described it. Hanging out with my mates, that's an easier process. It's not going to get the result I want. Going to the gym, but if I focus on going to the gym versus going and hanging out with my mates, I'm going to go hang out with my mates. So this goes back to why I say you've got to focus on the goal, because if the goal was a healthy body and you want to look like Arnold or whoever you want to look like, and you had held that to a point that it was a burning desire in your subconscious mind, you wouldn't even think about going to the pub with your mates. You'd go straight to the gym, because all you'd be thinking about is that worthy goal, that body that you're trying to build. And so that's what I'm saying with this exercise. Get to that point. Like, if it takes you 30 or 60 days to get a head start on this is what I want, this is what, then go to the planning stage. The problem I've seen is people spend 5 minutes thinking about what they want, then go spend 2 hours talking themselves out of why they can't have it, and then they stay stuck.
One of the things I learned years and years ago about decision making and procrastination, amongst other things, is like making a decision, decide once if you're going to do something, and then don't let anything get in the way of it. And I recently, at the beginning of the year, 5th of January, again, on my optimization, improve everything journey, the 5th of January, I started a program called 75 Hard. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I've heard of it. Yeah. I know a lot of people that have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, and essentially it's coined a mental toughness program. It's free, by the way. Anyone that wants to do this, you can go and just Google 75 Hard. It's an app for your mobiles. It's amazing. But basically what it does is it forces you to stay accountable to a certain number of habits, and they're not easy habits. You got to train 2 times a day for 45 minutes at least. One of them has to be outdoors. So if you live in cold climates or hot climates, whatever, you're subject to the elements, which is the idea. It's to make you operate in uncomfortable situations. Yes. You got to read business book. You got to drink 2 gallons of water, or a gallon of water, a gallon, I guess. I don't know what a gallon is, like 3.5 liters.
120 ounces or something. Yeah.
You've got to, there's a whole bunch of things you got to do. There's not many, mind you. There's maybe 5 or 6 or 7 different things you got to do, but you've got to do it for 75 days. And if you miss one day, if you miss one thing off one day, start again. And so I did this thing, this challenge, and it's amazing when you come out of it, because you really like what you push through in doing something like this, if you're committed to it, is pretty inspiring. I had laser eye surgery in the middle of it, and I still got it done. And I was like bedridden for the better part. I had to go outside with full bandage on because I couldn't open my eye. It was insane. My wife's like, "You're an idiot." Well, I missed my 40th birthday. I couldn't have. You could not drink any alcohol. So I didn't have a single. Well, I did. I celebrated. I just didn't drink any alcohol. And then as a result, since I haven't really had much of a drink since. I've had a couple of beers here and there, but I just learned that that's one thing that I've realized. You don't really need to drink beer every day, or you don't need to drink 6 beers when you go out with your mates. You can have a couple, or you can drink lighter beers, or whatever it might be, So it forces these beliefs and habits on you over a 75-day period that you realize, wow, I really am a lot more in control of doing these things than I thought I was before. The caveat is, well, you need to know that you can commit. You got to commit to it. You got to do it, and there's no cutting corners with it. There's no, maybe I'll skip today because I've got friends in town bullshit. Like you do that, you're back to square one, and you're accountable only to yourself. But sometimes that's the most confronting type of accountability,
Yeah. No, and that's, I'm glad you said it, because what I'm talking about, this mindset, it starts with a decision, right? Deciding you want a different, and it's interesting too, because as I've worked with people, you've heard the phrase "good is the enemy of great."
Sure.
Like the clients that I have that have come to me that have hit rock bottom, that they've had a hard time, they do much better because they have motivation, right? Because they're not in a good place. And a lot of times when clients come to me and they're good, it becomes the enemy of great because they're in a comfort zone. And so the first thing is getting them to make a decision that they want to do something different. And then the second is like you did with 75 Hard, the things we're talking about with the mindset, with holding that worthy goal, you've got to do it every day for an extended period of time. And I always say this isn't Tony Robbins has great 3-day events, but 3 days is only going to affect you so much. When you go back to regular life, I used to attend a lot of contractor events. We get up, we go back, the team's like, what Kool-Aid was he drinking at that conference? I can't wait till it wears off.
Yeah.
It goes back to normal, right? And so for me, it's taking the stuff, and like when I engage with clients, it's a 6-month period.
Sure.
We're trying to set new habits in place over an extended period of time because it's a new way of being.
There's a fascinating book, and you've likely would have read it, but for all your listeners out there that have not read it, it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you read that?
I have not. That is on my list. I've heard a lot about it. So I
would go straight to that as your next to read, because that is probably one of the top 5 books I've ever read. It's mind blowing, but that really does help you. If you are someone that struggles a little bit, or you think you struggle, again, fabricated fear, here we go. But if you think you struggle with these type of things, go and read that book, because it puts things in a lot of perspective for you about creating habits and doing the right things at the right times and blah, blah, blah. You can listen to that book also. I should clarify, it's a really good audio book. Of course, my experience with audiobooks, and I've said this a number of times on the show, is for books like that. I'm one of these guys when it comes to book reading. Like, I like to do all this kind of thing, and I highlight and I stick it. And so I listen to a book like that, and then I go back and I have to go buy it and I have to highlight because I like bookmarking things that I can go back to and I can reference.
Yeah.
So
did you ever read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg?
I don't think so.
That's a fascinating one, habit too.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got some really cool stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, I love this stuff. I think it's because this stuff is it's so it's measurable. We can read something and you can take something out of a book like that, and you can apply it and you can see results almost immediately. And I'm not talking so much about materialistic results. I'm talking about belief in yourself results. Oh, I did that and I can do this. It's like when you go to the gym and you see people in there, they're training, right? They're walking on a treadmill and they're watching Friends on the iPad. And, they've got a latte in front of them while they're walking, and they're like, oh, I've been to the gym 5 days this week and, I haven't lost any weight. And you're like, well, no shit. And you see people that go to the gym and they absolutely give it hell, And if you want results, who do you want to train with, But yeah, I mean, and not there's anything wrong. I mean, sure, people it's like getting out in the gym, moving. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying people just sometimes they've justified to themselves, but it's not justified.
No. Well, and what you just described, the person at the gym that's busting their ass, I'll tell you 2 things that we've already talked about. They made a decision, right? And they've got something in their mind. They've got a goal they pictured. They're training for an event. They're trying to look good for something. They're trying to get to a certain strength, they've got a reason. Now you can see that purpose in a gym, and I can say I see that in business people. You can tell a determined business owner. You can tell when it doesn't matter what the economy is doing. It doesn't matter that we had a pandemic. It doesn't matter that we're having supply issues right now and that lumber's 20 times what those things are just going to happen on the outside. I'm going to create my results from the inside out. That's truly thinking my way into results.
So how do we sum this episode up? How do we leave someone with action?
Give yourself permission to dream. I mean, literally make a list of wants and come up with a written goal, anything that you haven't had before that you really, really want. It can be finance, it can be health and wellness, it can be relationship, but come up with one goal that's something that will excite you and kind of scare you at the same time, and that you can write down in a written goal. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And
I'll tell you the goal not to write down, which is one that I did. And I said this on a podcast the other week, a couple of months ago when I was speaking to someone or other. And last year I had 3 main goals, and one of them was double turnover. One of them was to add 2 more people to our staff. And the other one was to get competitively fit again. And the one thing I didn't hit was getting competitively fit, because it's not a goal. It doesn't mean anything. Competitively fit. I mean, I was competitively fit to play chess, That's a lie. I can't play chess for shit. I've never played chess in my life. But I was competitively fit to watch television, or whatever. But like I didn't actually have any goals in place. So when I started this program at the beginning of the year, I had a goal to get to 15% body fat, and that's what I hit. And that's different, right?
I'm glad you said that, because money, and it's funny because I talk about the 3 areas. If it's a money goal, it's pretty easy. We usually put a number to it, and I'm going to know. Health and wellness and relationships, that's different. So yeah, I love a body fat. I had a client that was having some health issues, and for her, she would know she was healthy when she could go jump out of an airplane. She always wanted to. She didn't feel like she could. So that was the worthy goal. So yeah, it's got to be something measurable and specific that you're going to get.
And I think even like the money side of things can be jaded too, because you can say my goal is to make an extra $100,000 a year, but what does that actually mean? Like there's what do you want to do with that money, or why is that important to you? Do you want it to sit in a bank and just like let it glow at you when you log into your bank account? Like, it doesn't mean shit. Like, you're going to want to actually do something with it. So maybe it's take the family to Europe, or maybe it's, whatever. But like, I just find it so much better to have like a tangible goal with a timeline on it, because then you can reverse engineer it down to like tasks, and you can go bang, let's hit it. And for me, that's what I found works so well. Like, if you take a big goal, make it specific enough that you can break it down into bite-sized chunks. And what I found over the years is like just insanely inspiring is when you break a huge goal, so it's a 3-year goal or a 1-year goal or a 10-year goal or whatever down, when you break that down into weekly tasks, it's like, what? That's all I have to do to get that? It's crazy. It's like a bunch of little things, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Like, these tiny little things, and they add up to this huge goal, and it's all trackable, it's all measurable, you've reverse engineered it. And when you hit that goal, like there's nothing that's more, inspiring or gives you any more belief. Like, you only need to do it once and then you're sold.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Cool, man. Well, I suppose that wraps this up. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully we gave some exciting information, at least something to get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I just think for all you listeners and viewers out there, sure, this may seem, all airy-fairy and, rainbows and unicorns, and I know you're all like hardcore of, tradies, and you're out there throwing pipe in and climbing ladders and slamming nails in, all that kind of stuff. But don't overlook this. At one point or another, you will inevitably find yourself clawing through these podcasts trying to find this one, because it will hit home eventually. And I encourage you, the sooner you can embrace it and become comfortable with it, the better off you'll be.
Yes, agreed 100%.
Pretty much everything will stem from it, anything of any significance anyway.
Yes.
Sean,
thanks, thanks for doing what you do, man, giving us a platform to share good information and a community that people can get together. I really appreciate you and what you do. So thank you.
You bet. And for your listeners out there, Shawn Feurer Consulting, and that's ShawnFeurer consulting, and the website is ShawnFeurer.com. Shawn's in the community too, guys. If you guys have any questions or whatever about mindset, actually, I would love it if you did have some questions about mindset, or if anything you've heard here you'd like to agree with or disagree with even, let us know.
Yeah, I love disagreements too. Yeah, if you want to challenge me on some stuff, I mean, that's really, when struggle comes up and we have new levels of awareness, there's a lot of growth there. So I would love to hear if something I said challenged you or doesn't resonate with you. Yeah, call me out on it.
And I'd love to throw the challenge out there to you guys. And, I'm sure I know for a fact there's a lot of you guys that already do this, but I know there's probably a larger number of you guys that don't. So, if you're driving along in your car right now, listening to this, or whatever, I challenge you to take this on board and go home and strategize this. Have a think about the goal. And turn all your notifications off, turn your computer off, turn everything off, grab a notepad, go sit in your office or go down to the beach with a notepad and a beer or whatever, and have a think about like something that you'd like to achieve, and take that back to a whiteboard and reverse engineer it, break it down, turn that big 3-year goal into annual goals, turn them into monthly actions, and then turn them into weekly tasks. And you'll be amazed at how little you have to do in order to achieve it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks so much for your time. I'm sure.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm sure we'll chat again. This is not goodbye.
Till we meet again, my friend. Till we meet again. How about that?
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, mate. And look forward to chatting again in the future.
Appreciate it.
Listeners, that's a wrap.
Same.
Ciao, ciao.
All right.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.